Okay, now we're going to pick up with viruses, which is chapter 6. And first we're going to talk about some characteristics or properties of the viruses. First of all, they are obligate intracellular parasites. That means they have to live inside cells. They're obligated to live inside cells, so they are parasites. And they infect everything. They infect bacteria, protozoa, fungi, algae, plants, and animals. They are also ultra microscopic. Their size range from 20 nanometers up to 450 nanometers in diameter. They are not cellular. I've mentioned this before. They are not even living. They are just particles. And they don't have all the characteristics of life, so they are non-living. Some other properties, they are only active inside their host cells. And they only have a protein shell that's called a capsid and a nucleic acid core. And that nucleic acid can either be DNA or RNA, but not both of them. And the DNA can be double-stranded like we're familiar with, or it can be single-stranded. And the RNA can be single-stranded like we're familiar with, or it can be double-stranded. And there are specific molecules on the surface of the virus that cause them to be very specific about which host cells they will attach to. They multiply because they take control of the host cells, genetic material, and they replicate and make new viruses. They don't have any enzymes for any of the other metabolic processes, and they can't make their own protein. They are totally dependent on having that host cell to replicate or to make enough viruses so that they can go out and find host cells and replicate some more. As we mentioned a while ago, they're ultra microscopic, so you're going to have to use an electron microscope, which uses a beam of electrons to actually see them. The largest viruses can be 20 to 50 times larger than that, and they can be up to 1,000 nanometers. And of course, these are called mega viruses. Mega means big, or panda viruses. Now, as far as the structure, we mentioned a while ago, they can't make their own proteins, and they don't have anything as far as parts. All they can do is invade a host cell and take over by replicating and making more of them. The particle itself has this capsid covering, which is a protein, and some viruses have an envelope. And then the central core is the nucleic acid. As we said, it's either DNA or RNA. The capsids protect the nucleic acid. And then some of them, like the one on the right here, have an envelope on top of that capsid. If they don't have that envelope, we say they're naked. You know, if you don't have your robe on, you're naked. Now, the envelope, you find this mostly in your animal viruses. And when the virus leaves the host cell, that's when they get this envelope. And these proteins are exposed on the outside of that envelope, and they look like little spikes there, and that helps them attach to their host cell so that they can invade their own cell. Now, the capsid and the envelope protect the nucleic acid, and that's important because when a virus leaves a host cell, it is looking for its own host cell, another host cell to invade. And so it has this capsid or envelope that helps to protect it when it's outside of that host cell. And then it binds to a cell, and it helps it to penetrate and get its DNA or RNA into the new host cell. There are several different types of viral morphology. Here on the left in figure 1, that's a pox virus. And in figure 2, down at the bottom, is the flexible-tailed bacteriophage. Those are considered complex viruses. Now, the viruses that are enveloped and have that envelope on them, so they are not naked, would be there number 3, that where it's helical, that's the mumps. Underneath that is something called the rhabdovirus. Number 5 on the far right is the herpes virus, and at the bottom there, number 6 is HIV. Here we see some that don't have that envelope on them, so they are naked. You've got number 8 there, that's the polio virus, and number 9 is the papillomavirus that we hear so much about. So how would you describe this virus? Look at it closely. First of all, is it clothed? Is it naked, or is it enveloped? And then look at the shape of it. Is it complex, or isohedral, or helical? I think it looks helical, but I don't see any kind of coating on it, so I think it's naked, which would be figure A. Correct.